Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast weekly show brought to you by Join Cycling or Join have got a new running app, Join Running. It's not called that. I'll let you know what it's called in a second. What? I'm pretty excited to use it because I've actually been running a lot. So is Jim Vandenberg from Join as well. So anyway, we have our first World Tour stage race in the books. It's not yet gone the end of January and we have the Tour Down Under finished. Much the same, though, as last year. Some of the results we've had the Valencian races, 3 of them kick off. The European racing's already here. Strade Bianche's changed its route. Omloop's changed its route. We're only a month away from opening weekend. And then we have the previews of the AlUla Tour, which commences today or tomorrow. You're probably hearing it just in time. And then also some of the Mallorcan races and then some odds and ends as well. Anything else that's caught your eye, Benji? I think you're never coming to Australia again now.
Why never? Why?
You were already kind of scared of the wildlife in the first place. You had some trepidation. I told you it's just made up Hollywood nonsense. Don't worry about it. And now there's been some quite public incidents where, yeah, you should be worried about it.
Well, we'll get to the exact incidents later, but I also have like a little game later where we can go over every Australian animal and you can tell me an objective description of how dangerous each species is, because can I confess that I wasn't actually scared of kangaroos when I went to your country? I'm a spider guy, you know? Big spider, that kind of guy.
Okay, yeah. It's legit as spider right there. But we'll get to that in a second. No, he's good. He's been cleaning up. He's been cleaning up some of the nonsense around here. We'll get to the Tour Down Under now, though, straight away. We had an edition in 2 parts. It started off in actually quite cool conditions, which has been the feature for a couple of years. And the weather changes really fast in Adelaide. It's very different climate to, say, where I live in the Gold Coast or where I am at the moment. And yeah, it was cool conditions, fine for the first sprint stages. And then it got really, really, really hot. For the first stage, we had a prologue in the evening in Adelaide. Sam Watson, the prologue specialist, won his second World Tour prologue ahead of Ethan Vernon. Tobias Lund Andresen, after a magnificent lead out from, I think, Pierre Gotera and Tord Gudmundstad.
Yeah.
And Oscar Chamberlain. Oscar Chamberlain Neo-Pro or second year? Anyway, they did a really, really good lead out at Decathlon, launched him. Brennan came a bit too late with speed. Welsford, I think, would have won that stage.
I agree.
I think we discussed, but Welsford's coming with speed from the back, and he goes left into traffic instead of opening early right. I think if he goes right, either he wins or Brennan wins if that happens. So he cost himself there. UAE Team Emirates said it may be 2026, but nothing's changed. They just Yates did like a San Luca Bologna style lead out on Corkscrew, and Vine set a big record. They took a minute on the GC competitors. People in Europe maybe woke up and said, how did they take a minute? Did they really take a minute on Corkscrew, or what actually happened, Benji?
I gotta confess, I saw Group 2 and I was thinking it's gotta be some Group 2 syndrome here, and maybe every now and then there was, but I still felt like they just actually took a minute from when they attacked to the finish without too much nonsense going on in the second group. Because I saw people pulling even on the flat after the top. And the riders in that second group said the same. Then again, they might be protecting their own bags there, but I don't know. It was really impressive, if I'm being honest. That said, Vine was clearly the strongest of the two. Narvaez was holding on for dear life on the climb.
I think, yeah, the actual numbers, big Corkscrew record, I think a 608 or I think, yeah, something like that for Jay Vine. And then he was more on Corkscrew. He did it about 20 seconds quicker than the next quickest based on the Strava times. But they turned left instead of going into Campbelltown. So that's why it's a different Corkscrew finish with bigger gaps. They go left. They kept climbing for another 6 minutes, I think. It's actually a 12-minute climb.
Yeah.
He took more than 30 seconds on there, maybe 40 seconds, and then there was some playing. He took another 20 seconds. Then the last 5-6 Ks, I think Sweeney, who was a monster, held it stable. So the stage ended up really suiting the 68 kilo to 73 kilo guy who could do corkscrew well, and then attack and push on the flat afterwards, like Schmidt and Sweeney.
And we do notice that also even on the corkscrew itself, where the climbers like Fisher Black was the one that was holding on to the wheel of the two UAE riders when they were really upping the tempo, and then he just snapped off the wheel. Blap was in Narnia. We saw a lot of more pure climbers already snapping on the climb itself, not necessarily on the plateau afterwards. Is it because of what happened before that corkscrew? Because that's the one thing where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out why the pure climbers struggled before the plateau.
It was weird. It was weird because, yes, Jay Vine did a really good performance, but the other performances were less than you would expect.
Yeah.
And they didn't go for the second group, just did not go fast. And that's not just us making it up. Like, everyone's gotten faster. They went slower than everyone did in 2019. Like, much slower. So, 6 years ago, they went much slower on corkscrew. Why did they go? Or they went much faster on corkscrew. So, why did, Santiago Buitrago, for example, Finn Fisher Black, who else could...
Question. So, corkscrew is a climb that we did in this stage that we're describing, stage 2 of the Tour Down Under this year. The climb on which we saw Romo attack over the top last year is not the same climb, but to me it looks like it's like in the same area, no?
Yeah, it's in a similar area. That was to Uradler. So that was Cherryville, I think. That was Pound Reserve rather. It's literally parallel to it. I
thought so, because I was looking at the map, it looked like the same climb.
And it's the same direction too. That's a beautiful climb, actually. But it was close to the finish, and this they kept climbing for a longer period of time. But yeah, it was strange, like you say, that there were other decent names like a Romo, like I think Van Eytvelt crashed, but just a lot of other decent names who just didn't, and that includes like Brennan lost like 11 minutes, or Corbin Strong was out of it, and it was the bigger guys who. Yeah, even like Chris Harper.
Yeah.
Chris Harper's, you just would expect him to do a 6:25, and it didn't happen. I don't know why. And the reason is probably the conditions. When I look, there's like on Strava, everyone's heart rate's just absolutely sky high. So it could have been the heat. And Jay Vine was adapted for the heat.
One thing was clear after the stage. GC is in the hands of UAE. I think the gap in GC might have been 4 or 6 seconds. I think it might have been 6 seconds between Vine and Nervais after the stage. And I was thinking, how can this change? We've got Willunga Hill coming later in the race. On paper, they're the two best climbers based on corkscrew. So if we see on Willunga Hill that those two right away again, can bonus seconds at the finish affect in what order they will finish? Or can the Sterling finish on the last stage affect whether GC changes? At the end of the day, Willunga Hill gets nullified. But stage 3, first of all, we've got a sprint. Sam Welsford ends up winning that sprint, and it was because of a super perfectly timed launch by Ben Swift, basically waving over the other leadouts in the final stretch, and Welsford just had to finish it off. Still an impressive sprint, but Welsford takes a W here on a stage where, before the race started, I might have considered that finish on the limit for Welsford. Or is that too much? Because for me, the pure sprint was Tanunda.
I think Ineos knew that too. And when I was watching how the brake controlling was being done, Ineos they were taking over on every climb with Lucas Hamilton, riding slower than the brake of Baptiste Wiestroffer. And then when the climb would finish, Lucas Hamilton would then flick Tim Rex through. So they were very obviously making sure to make it a smooth stage for Welsford. He's also in good shape. He said he was on the limit on the final kicker. I think it didn't kick. keep getting stretched after that kicker, so they were able, but they were really deep. Without Ben Swift, Sam Welsford cannot win this stage. Ben Swift, like 38
Correct.
years old, mega job. Welsford was also rapid. Brennan, this was sort of the middle of like what he, in his words, it was like some frustrating sprints. In sprint 1, he came back on the back of Welsford and just missed it. Decathlon lead out crushed it. This sprint, he catches the back of the decathlon train. And I'm not just got criticism for, well, what happened, but the decathlon then sit and wait way too long, or Lund Andresen doesn't launch off the winning train, and Brennan gets swamped. And then Brailsford,
great sprint by Brailsford.
Dude, it's early.
I gotta say about that sprint,
I think just every sprint is different. You have to analyze each sprint differently based on wind conditions and what the parkour is.
But there you do notice the frustration a little bit in the fact that Brennan gives up his sprint with 100 meters to go. It's not like he tried sprinting for a 6th place or something in that sprint. You notice that he's like, fuck, it's not happening. That kind of, it reminded me of the late Caleb Ewan sprints where he started giving up midway a sprint. But at the end of the day, there's still now 2 stages where he can still be competitive, because the Willinga Hill climbs are removed from stage 4 due to extreme fire dangers and a predicted temperature of 43 degrees. The new route ended up being an uphill sprint, and that uphill sprint was won by Ethan Vernon on stage 4. And that was actually also super impressive, after I think a lead out by might have been Jake Stewart on that stage. But another factor there is Narvaez, who was sitting high up in GC on that stage, crashed out together with, I think, a teammate, Stake Lengen, who had a rib injury.
Yeah.
But Narvaez had multiple stable thoracic vertebrae fractures who did not require surgery at the time. That's, I think, the exact quote that was in the UAE tweet, if my memory serves me right.
So he broke his neck. He looked fucked up, like he was in a lot of
thoracic
pain.
his neck.
And I think so. Like,
I don't know. So
yeah, but he hit a road divider. It looked like it was nothing on. It was like break formation, but he's chilling sort of at the back, and he's hit a road divider. And that's his Tour Down Under over. I actually thought he was going to win GC, even though Vine was stronger on Corkscrew.
Yeah.
I thought by function of first the uphill sprint here, he might snag a 3rd, because I think in the past this uphill sprint's been won by more like proper punchers, not sprinters. Today, at this stage, it was won by proper sprinters. And then I also thought on Sterling, he was going to come take some bonies as well. Like, definitely, I thought he was going to come 3rd or better on Sterling. And he crashes out. It's kind of when you look at how good Narvaez is, and he is a special rider, he's crashed out, it seems, a lot just as he's about to kick on to like winning more. You know, he hasn't. Yeah, so I just in the classics, for example, in the World Championships, even in Glasgow, he's just had some really inopportune crashes. Yeah,
I agree. Talking about crashes, during stage 5, then a kangaroo jumped into the peloton, and that brings us to the point you mentioned at the start of today's podcast, causing a crash for the other UAE rider still in the race. Jay Vine ended up getting back on the bike, but Mikkel Bjerg, I think, was inflicted an injury. I saw on UAE's Twitter today that he might have had a collarbone fracture and something else that is broken, maybe hand or something wrists, something in that area, from what I can recall. So UAE really had a lot of hits when it comes to the crashes in this race, and that is the one side of it. I was also, is it weird that I was also a bit worried about the kangaroo, or is that or should I only care about the cyclist?
You don't have to worry anymore. They shot it.
Really?
I'd say so.
Yeah, I saw rumors on social media, just in comments, but I've not seen a confirmation. But yeah, the kangaroo couldn't hop anymore, so that was a pretty sad sight to see as well.
They would have to shoot it. It's, you know, it's sad. It's like in Europe, there's sometimes goats that jump out, or not I mean, that's not that often, actually. That's more insane.
When
Some races,
has that ever
dogs.
happened?
I swear, not in the Albanian start.
Oh, was that dogs? Dogs.
Dogs is pretty common. Dogs is pretty common. Sometimes there have been like livestock on
Luke
the
says
road,
goats.
but I swear there were goats. Yeah, I swear.
Thibaut Pinot.
And the problem is kangaroos are really unpredictable. They're really, really unpredictable. So, I mean, I was cycling around even the eco village around here. There's loads of kangaroos, and it's not like livestock or a dog, which are more predictable, and they will jump at you. And I mean, in Adelaide, I was descending Norton Summit in 20 whatever, and yeah, kangaroos just literally just fucking jumped at me and jumped over my back wheel. So this is not it's actually pretty common to be hit by kangaroos, and also when it's that many people, unfortunately that happens. So it's really shit for the riders. Obviously, very sad for the animal. I don't see a way to avoid it either.
Who ended up winning that stage before we get to a more hopefully enjoyable segment of today's podcast?
Brennan got the dub. You could see the relief for Brennan, and which goes to show like the pressure or also the expectation. I mean, who amongst us would put expectation on Brennan?
He's gonna win it, mate. 1 week ago on this podcast, Patrick. 1 week ago, I said he's going to win 3 Vuelta stage on the green jersey, and you said that's a cold take. I don't allow it as a hot take. Do you still stand by that point?
Yeah, of course. Got Van Aert as a leader, bro.
I agree. That's my take, but
happens, mate.
But it's also like the riders themselves also put pressure on themselves personally. They also want to.
Yeah. He just wants to win.
Yeah, he won 14 races last year. I think he's going to want to come into the season with, in my opinion, the goals of I want to be competitive in lighter classics, and I'll see what I do in harder classics, and I want to win my first Grand Tour stage. I think that's the. If I'm Brennan hypothetically, which I'm not, I would assume that those are the things he's dreaming of this year. You know. And MSR, of course, according to Patrick.
And he knows, riders know which stages suit them. So he knows an uphill sprint in Wollonga Township, it's a good opportunity for him. So, but he gets the dub. World Tour wins that don't grow on trees. Ineos took 2 of them. Visma won, Decathlon won, and UAE 2. And am I missing someone?
I don't care too much, to be honest. We've gone over every stage, so we've mentioned all that needs to be said. But
yeah, Javine wins the second GC at TDU. UAE win another World Tour stage race like they did last year. Harry Sweeney, his best ever GC result in a World Tour race, 3rd on 112. Mara Schmidt 2nd. Marco Brenner, who was in good shape last year, 4th. Kron, who's been in the wind for couple of years, that's his best result coming back, 5th. Quickstep, who wins the best young riders jersey, Andrea Raccagni Noviero, great eyebrows, very good looking. He's a good looking man, and he looks quite talented actually. It's a versatile sprint option, so look out for him in the future.
Raccagni was also the guy that, despite his young age, despite not having built himself into the peloton, was calling out the safety issues with the sport, I think 1 or 2 years ago in the sport on his social media. And I very much respect him for that. But you mentioned earlier growing on trees, and we spoke about kangaroos. We've established kangaroos are dangerous animals. Sure, I'll put that to the side. Patrick, I've prepared a game for you. I want to go over every single animal that I have on my list here in Australia, and I want you to describe whether they are dangerous or not, and give an example of why they are dangerous. We said kangaroos already. What about my fear? Spiders.
Not dangerous.
Why? They can kill you.
They can, but like they're not actively hunting you. Then you shouldn't really interact with them. I don't think, I don't have the, I'm going to do this no data. I don't think they kill that many people in Australia.
Okay.
So, I mean, you just don't. With a kangaroo, if you're just cycling around Adelaide at dusk, they might hit you off the bike. And or if you're in just the wilderness or whatever. With a spider, I mean, don't put your hand in a dark corner underneath your house and you'll be right.
Okay.
Don't leave your shoes outside.
Magpies.
Not life-threatening, but higher frequency of annoying you. Yeah, they will swoop you if it's spring. Everyone knows Wynnum Road, Murray, the magpie there is fucking demon.
Koalas.
Yeah, they're zero, not dangerous.
Okay. Jellyfish.
Pretty dangerous.
Sharks.
Pretty dangerous.
Australian drivers.
Very, very dangerous. The most dangerous of them all.
Okay, I'll finish with that. I've got a few more
it's true.
animals,
I mean, I don't want to get too real with everybody, but yeah, it has been very sad. Like, a young boy lost his life in a shark attack in the last couple of weeks here, and he was bitten in Sydney and he died. And there was like a whole run of probably bull shark incidents. But yeah, it's probably, if you look at the statistics and data, it's still more dangerous to get in your car and drive 2 hours somewhere in Australia if you look at how many people get in the ocean each year. So people's accepted risk is different depending on what they're habituated to. And unfortunately, with road deaths, society is just too habituated to people losing their life or being permanently injured in preventable car accidents.
And also, I swear, like, in the UK, driver culture shit. But when I went to Australia, every cyclist I spoke to spoke about getting bottles thrown at their head from drivers. Is that such a thing that happens all the time to cyclists?
I actually think it's improved, where at least on the Gold Coast it's improved because it's turning into a mini Amsterdam here. Every kid has an e-bike. That also, has created some problems with people. More people are cycling here, which has changed, I think, in the last 10 years, driver behavior. But yeah, it's obviously not like Spain, which is like a utopia. But you got any more animals? I mean, what animal am I most scared of here?
Crocodiles? I don't know. I'm thinking of something.
Probably dogs.
Probably humans.
Crocodiles are dangerous. Yeah, they are dangerous because crocodiles in the north, every 3 months, man gets torn to pieces.
I'd like to believe they're not like literally in the street of Adelaide,
But Australia's a big place. There's different dangers in different areas. So in Perth, certain times of the year, shark attacks are very, very common. If you're surfing, if you're swimming in the Whitsunday Islands around summer, you have to wear a full cover up your whole body because there's irukandji, which are dangerous jellyfish. In spring in Brisbane, the magpies will get you. At Adelaide, you got kangaroo issues. In sort of south of Sydney, maybe there's spiders that can really kill you. So it just depends where you are.
Okay, let's talk about racing again. We've spoken a lot about animals on a cycling podcast here, but Classica Cam de Morvedre.
You didn't do snakes.
Mate, snakes, go ahead.
Snake's not dangerous.
Bro, come on. You can't force me to do the snakes to just say, not a big deal. You're a
Spiders
snake.
and snakes, bad rep. They got a bad rep. I want to rehabilitate. Yeah, maybe I am. I want to rehabilitate their image.
Okay. Anyway, Classica Cam de Morvedre, first Spanish race of the season, was a stage with I think 3 times the Alto del Garbi, maybe 4 times. Don't remember the exact profile to the top of my head, but it's actually a 7 kilometer 9% climb. Is pure guess based on what I saw on the profile, was a really steep climb. Road surface looked not like a normal road, looked pretty gravelly in places, I would say. But the action kicked off on the final climb where, well, there were some moves before that, to be honest, but the final attacks were launched by Scaroni on the final climb, which eventually got bridged towards by Antonio Tiberi of Bahrain and Pescador, a young Colombian guy that we laughed a lot at a couple of times in the last year, where we were joking about the fact that he was sent to Paris-Roubaix despite weighing 30 kilos. A slight exaggeration. I think he's like 58 is my assumption, something like that. But he made it to that three-man group now. Sorry?
He'll be like 50 flat.
Okay. He does look quite light, but anyway, three-man group up the road. Scaroni, Tiberi, Pescador. Scaroni looks the more vibrant of the three in terms of setting tempo in the group. We did see a group behind that with also a youngster in there, Enrique Bravo, which is a rider for Sudal Quickstep, which has stepped up from the dev team this year, if I recall correctly. Brazilian guy, super talented. I think he's 19 maybe, and ex-mountain biking history, so looking forward to see what he can do in the future. But I think it's fair to say, to summarize, those three ride to the finish. Scaroni, Tiberi, Pescador. Scaroni beats them after Pescador launches early to try and surprise and basically gives Scaroni a lead out. And that leads to Scaroni winning, but he was probably going to beat them anyway in that 3-up sprint. So was a pretty fun race, to be honest.
Where's UAE? Is this the beginning of the end?
Morgado got 8th, I think? Or did I invent that?
I think he got around there, yeah. I think Hirschi got a lot of stick, but Hirschi and Ulysses, they used to farm these races for fun. I think Kristen's preparing, he's not there this year, he's preparing for AlUla Tour. But yeah, I think Morgado was missing a foil, like a counterpunch in the Valencian races, because he was the main guy. They had like the Pablo Torres launching him. But yeah, Bravo, very good. He's on the Devo team, I believe. And Pescador, I think, is improving. In GP Castellón, there was another attack. There was a big attack from Morgado. It was like a 5K, 4.5% climb, and then a quick descent before a sprint finish, which had a right-hand turn right at the bottom of like a kick up to the hill. Good finish for Kubis, Pom Mikel, and Matthews. So their teams, Unibet Rockets, Bahrain, and Jaco were all controlling. And indeed, Morgado was brought back. Hector Alvarez, the little Trek young rider, was actually made that group, which was very impressive. And then, yeah, basically the Rockets took over. Cockard had an issue, I think, in that corner. And Michael Matthews, it's the perfect sprint for him, and he wins again.
Yeah, I think a pretty much... can I classify it as a lactic acid sprint?
Yeah, it was a long uphill sprint. It was like the Quebec sprint or the Catalunya sprint. It was a perfect Michael Matthews finish for Kubish as well. So that was quite an interesting race with the attacks. They got brought back, the technical finish. I quite liked it. And but it looked like the Rockets are in good shape, and it's no surprise. When you look at the general theme here, which teams are performing at the start of the year, well, they have to be at the race in the first place, but generally speaking, the teams that want to get a win on the board, it's Bahrain, it's Jaco, it's Unibet. They want to get wins, points. They want to get going. Especially the pro teams, which need to, get annual points. But yeah, Morgado, you want to discuss his positioning. I agree, Benji. If he starts in good position, he podiums this minimum.
Yeah, I think so. And that's after the attack he did, right? Because he was earlier up the road, like you said. So really strong race by Morgado. But the final uphill sprint, I swear, I was looking at the front sprint. Then I looked in the background and I saw a dude from UAE sprinting from like P25 and finishing like 8th at the finish. And yes, that's going to include some riders that try to sprint and then give up because they're not going to get a result here. But it was a super impressive sprint by Morgado, finishing 8th once again, 2 days in a row. But Morgado's really on like Morgado literally topped 5th RVV 2 years ago. A super talented cyclist. And it hasn't clicked yet. And I can't wait for it to click because I like Morgado. I like his mustache. He's still got his mustache, right? I swear, maybe it's the mustache.
Maybe
he's not aero enough.
No, the positioning is the biggest thing he needs to fix. I mean, I was watching Brabantse Pijl and he came third in that last year, but actually when the race kicked off on the Moskestraat, when there was the jumping of Remco, Van Aert, Narvaez, Blackmore, he's like P50 and he came third because he waited. Yeah, he just basically waited and then he was strong in the end and sprinted from the group. That was kind of with Flanders as well. He was actually out of position, then worked his way into the race in that wet edition. So he's got a nasty sprint at the end of hard races. Very, very strong rider. I think if he gets the positioning issue right, then he can start becoming a really, really top classics rider, which I think he said he's not a big fan of those races, but that is, that is what he looks like he's good at. I mean, he's good at them and he can win them.
Exactly. Anyway, next up we had the Trofeo Llucmajor, which was a Spanish race once again. And that was a echelon sledge sprint, is what I would say. Women's race, by the way. And in the end, it was a smaller group going to the finish after echelons happened, including the likes of Kat Ferguson, Sophie van Rooyen, with multiple UAE teammates that went all out for a sprint for Sophie van Rooyen. I think you have an opinion on that. But in the end, it was Kat Ferguson winning ahead of Clara Copponi and ahead of Sophie van Rooyen. Were you surprised by the fact that UAE went all in on Sophie van Rooyen?
Yeah, I was, because last year she didn't perform, and it's not like Copponi and.
I predicted she would win a World Tour race, and on the final day of the season, she did.
What'd she win?
Like Chongming Island, I think.
Okay.
It counts, buddy. It counts. It's literally, it says World Tour.
It does say that, but outside of that race, she wasn't in the top 20 in any race except for the first stage of UAE Tour or even the similar Mallorcan race. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. She can sprint for sure, but is she really locked on to beat Copponi and Kat Ferguson after a hard day? Is she really an 80% chance? You have 5-6 riders. You don't want to even up the odds a little bit? And yeah, UAE just fully committed to her, which was a bit strange to watch. And then Ferguson just rinsed her. So
yeah.
And then I think also Copponi was second. So anyway, Ferguson gets the Spanish race, Movistar winning. Gets some runs on the board early. That's going to be good for her confidence. And I think Ferguson's going to kick on this season. We then had Clásica Comunidad Valenciana. This was also an interesting race. There was a hard, hilly start, then echelons afterwards. And the Rockets, as well as Total, split the race apart. A lot of the race favourites made it. We had a group with Genier, Manier, Groenewegen, but the Rockets had the most numbers, and they were really, really patient. Their lead out, which is now led by, the sprint coach is Marcel Kittel in the car. They came really, really late and just, I think, Reinders launched Groenewegen, and Groenewegen basically turned the pedals 5 times hard, and there was no chance for anybody else. And Manier just couldn't come past him because he was still at such high speed. So huge win for the Rockets with their new star signing. The lead out clicked, and I think it's also a lot of points. But yeah, Manier, I'm not sure there was much he could do, actually.
I think I agree with you because, the way I view Manier is similar to the way I view Brennan, if that makes sense. They're at a similar position in their career, is how I'd classify it. But that is mostly because I would expect their goals for this 2026 season to be similar. It's to take a step forward. Manier last year was super successful in the races at the end of the season, including the likes of Crow Race and Slovakia. And then we also had the Guangxi, for example, where he took multiple stages as well. But that is not a top-level World Tour race. I think his goal is to step up from that and do well at, for example, the Giro, where he, quote-unquote, failed last year, which is allowed at a young age like that. But that's a step that he will want to make. With Brennan, I've got a similar feeling where last year 14 stage victories, but now it's time to try and see, can I be competitive in Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne, Gent-Wevelgem, whatever, those kind of races. Plus, can I deliver in the Vuelta at the end of the year? So very similar the two riders in the sense that they've got similar goals, similar aspirations in similar races. And that's why I feel like their roadmap is a bit similar. But the last thing I want to mention on this race is the Rockets. We've seen them win this race now, Patrick. And I'm questioning what their short-term objective and vision is, because 3-year cycle has restarted. We haven't really mentioned it too much, but this means that for the next 3 years, teams can gather UCI points to then earn their UCI World Tour license for the 3 years afterwards. But they're a pro team, with Rose Rockets. I believe they'll have a wild card for the Tour de France because I don't expect ASO to give it to Caja Rural. That said, their goal for next year would then be to be as high placed as possible in the pro teams in the 1-year cycle, because that's what matters for the pro teams, to have wildcards next year. So they'll want to be top 3, top 2 to get automatic wildcards to World Tour races and or Grand Tours, depending on their position in that top 3. So I think that's their focus, plus just the competitivity when they do get invited to the Tour de France, which, good luck. It's not that easy, but I do see them doing something. I don't think they'll play spectator and NPC in that race. Does that make sense?
I think short-term major goal is be as competitive and attractive enough that it's a no-brainer that you have to be invited to the Tour de France. And like you say, long-term, the 3-year cycle getting promoted could be challenging, but you never know. 3 years ago, we would have said UNOX getting promoted is going to be pretty unlikely. Even a year ago, like Tor Hushovd said a year ago, they thought there's no chance still. So you never know. All you can do is get as many runs on the board as possible. But yeah, I think short-term, they just want to get invited to the Tour de France. But we have some exciting news for you all. Those of you that sometimes lace up the shoes from the team that brought you Join Cycling, which thousands of you have used, the same company now has Ren, which is a adaptive training platform, but for running. So if you're a cyclist that wants to do some running, Join Cycling, that's still the app for you. But if you're preparing for a running goal, maybe you are in the winter, I don't know, maybe just a park run, Ren is the app. You can get it on the App Store or Google Play. That is an adaptive training platform for running. It's your smart running coach that evolves with you. You can use it with Garmin, your Apple Watch, and the real-time plan adjustments, just like with Join Cycling, all the same similar features, and it's brought to you by elite coaches, but the same, I find very easy to use, intuitive technology, and also achievable plans. It's the same where you're like, okay, it's about rewarding consistency. You're not doing crazy intervals, crazy long runs. It builds you up steadily, try and reduce injuries as well. So go and check out Ren if you're into running. And Luke informs me that Ren is also run in Dutch. So maybe Benji can confirm. I understand. Yes?
I can confirm.
Okay.
Congrats.
All right. That's also a little bit of knowledge for you. So you've learned something today.
I thought you know.
Check that out on Hardloper. I didn't know that word. Strade Bianche has been nerfed in the notes, according to Benji. I disagree with that, but what do you mean nerfed? What's been the changes to Strade?
I mean, the amount of gravel kilometers within Strade Bianche has been reduced. That's what I mean with the title. So we can look at this in multiple ways. To be clear, we're talking about 17 kilometers being taken away of gravel in the first half of the race. The second half of the race, basically from Monte Santi Maria onwards, pretty much the same, I would say. So it's in the gravel sectors before that they try to reduce the gravel sectors. And my first point is, if Pogacar is present, this most likely won't change who ends up winning the race. Pogacar is still the favorite on paper. Maybe Pidcock holds on a little bit longer than last year, hypothetical scenario. The one thing that I love about this is that last year we had lots of crashes, but also UE already pacing before broadcast quite a lot, leading to a very small peloton arriving at Monte Santa Maria when the broadcast started. I think we'll arrive to that point now with a larger peloton, which hopefully gives us more viewing experience. That's the real benefit to me. I don't think it changes the final too much. Does that make sense?
I agree. I think it's. I think it looks like window dressing to me, and yeah, it's still too hard. But anyway, even if it wasn't,
Is it?
Like on the old 2021 parkour, Pogacar still would be the heavy favorite. But yeah, I think they're trying to. If you look at just generally with the Tirreno route as well, it does seem that they're, even if they don't want to admit it, maybe having the last hour of your premium events be unwatchable is not the best idea.
Is it? Like, I love Monte Santa Maria. I think it's a great sector. I love watching it. But that's what defines the race from that point onwards. That's where Pogacar rides away solo or with a single rider in his wheel. Is Monte Santa Maria too hard to have at that point in the race? Just because of Pogacar?
Maybe, but Pidcock did follow him. So
yeah.
Why can't... I think as long as if the fatigue is less from... Maybe they're just trying to reduce the fatigue before. Because, yeah, if Monte Santa Maria, the more fatigue before, the more likely he is to drop somebody. And it's like with Pidcock.
Yeah.
Pidcock followed him there, but as the race built up, and then on was it the last La Tolfe or
I think
Pinzuto? Yes. Yeah, he just couldn't follow anymore. And so he also shouldn't have pulled, but yeah, so maybe it does make it more likely someone will follow. And yes, to your point. Just like we've seen the Tour de France, more people are close to Pogacar on a 5-minute climb. San Luca disagrees with me here. I was trying to make the point that in Liège, he gets the gap because of the fatigue, but actually on San Luca, on a fresh effort in 24, he had a way bigger gap than on Redoute in Liège this year. So, yeah, I don't know what my point is anymore. We'll see. I mean, Van Aert's there. Van Aert's trying to buck the trend of can a bigger rider podium the race. That hasn't happened for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I think, well, Squeens, I guess, fits a little bit in that category. It's not Van Aert levels of heaviness. Squeens is like the midpoint, right? You've got Pogacar in the lightweights on paper, Squeens in the mid, and then Van Aert in the heavyweights for Strade. It's not like Sepp van Marken would not be able to podium a parkour like this in 2026, while maybe 7 years ago he might
I think
have.
is low. Scoins is like low 70s, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are the change of Strade Bianche. I think our take on that is pretty clear, but there's another race with a parkour change. It's a small parkour change, but it might change it, and I want your take on this. So, Omloop Nieuwsblad, Patrick, before the Muur van Gerardsbergen, you normally in 2025 had a run-in of X amount of kilometers without a climb. After Vossenhol to Muur van Gerardsbergen, it was a bit of ups and downs, but then on the big road, you could really take in an attack and grab them before you get to Muur van Gerardsbergen. This year, they removed Vossenhol, but instead, they added 2 climbs, Ten Bosse and Parikeberg, basically reducing the time between the last climb before Muur van Gerardsbergen by 5-ish kilometers, making that space in which you can catch people between the climbs shorter. Do you think that will entice people to maybe dare to go earlier?
I don't think it will entice people to go earlier.
Yeah.
But it will, because they already were. I think it just makes the success more likely. So this is the zone where Benoit anticipated in 2022, maybe.
Yeah.
And got caught. And then was fucked by the Muur, or got caught just after the Muur. It's the zone where Jorgensen, he anticipated, and then I think got caught. Dali, so it just makes it, I guess, easier to stay away because the chase will get broken up by an additional climb. Whereas if you have a sprinter and a strong team around him, like Quickstep did with Manier last year, you do nothing. you keep guys around him, and then you control the race in that phase, knowing that decent classics riders around him will survive with good legs. And then if you just pin your ears back and drill it until the Moor, any solo attacker will, like, they'll just get cooked. And it's realistic to keep strong guys there to chase before the Moor. With the 10 boss, then maybe it changes things. Maybe it breaks it up more. So I like the change. Although actually Omloop, it hasn't ended in a sprint that big for a long time, and I think last year that was a function of, I think it was a very strong headwind. That wasn't even that big either.
That's true. Quickstep controlled that so well, by the way, that edition. Or didn't they also have Alaphilippe ahead in the same way Benoit and Jorgensen were?
Yeah, Alaphilippe was ahead, but yeah, that was a group of 50.
Yeah. It's not a full peloton, technically, so you're right.
Last year it was, about the same. It was 50. So that was two similar editions. So we'll see. I think last time they used the 10 boss was when Valgren won in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, when Astana were
horrible edition.
They had like 3 guys. Was that a horrible edition?
No, as a Belgian, I don't know, but I swear that year, Valgren, didn't he win both Omloop and Amstel in the same way by shooting away in the last little bits? And I don't have anything against the person of Michael Valgren, but I think back then Benji had preferences on who would win, including wanting Belgians to win. That has kind of gone to the side in recent years, I feel like. But from that year onwards, for the next 3 years, I was a fanatic Michael Valgren hate watcher. Like, next level. If I would see him, I would be like, where's domestique for Fabio Aru? I'm sorry. He did nothing today. How dare you, Valgren? Every single stage, I was hating on the man. And he's a nice guy. That's the worst part.
Wow, I'm looking at the results there. Yeah, the Belgians 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh,
don't want to talk about it.
In that, yeah. Seb Van Mark. Oh no. Okay, races coming up today. AlUla Tour kicks off. We have is it a Dot Pro now? All these races are changing. It's a Dot Pro. I was not mistaken. So they've. It is. It's the beginning of the greatest races. We start with a sprint, the Camel Cup track. That's just an uphill sprint. And then second stage, also a sprint, the Alman Shia train station sprint. Then the third stage is the Bir Jaida Mountain Birka. It says 5K 6%, but actually it's more like it's a 1K 11% punch. I think Pidcock won that stage last year. Then there's another sprint to Shahal Sijliat Rocks. It does have the final straight. It's a long final straight, and then the final stage is the famous sky views of Harat Uargarid. It's 2.9 Ks, 12%, absolute wall, very
love that stage.
Yeah. Then a plateau. It's always a good stage, and it can be a sprint, it can be a solo attacker. It's a good stage. There can be crosswinds before it, and
how did Tim Leclerc ever do well on that?
Because the level was not good.
Because Leclerc was so good, is what you're saying. That's what my Belgian brain is hearing.
I think because you can actually get, even though it's not that long a climb, and then if it's the polar opposite rider that suits the final. So you need to be a skinny, tiny climber to go well on a 3K 12%. Then often there's a cross headwind on a really exposed plateau on top, where they, for like 8Ks, they go backwards. So it's a good final.
Okay, who is at this race? That is the big question here, because I feel like the start list has been diminished. We saw Merlier be on the start list initially. He's now off the start list due to injury, if I recall correctly. Jonathan Milan is at the start line. So he's there with Consoni, Turns, and so forth when it comes to his lead out. Söderqvist as well, so pretty strong boy to be part of that team as well. Bauhaus is there for Bahrain. I'm looking through the sprinters right now. We've got Ackermann for Jayco. am I weird in wanting to share? Like, sure, Kristen Arieta for UAE, but I'm looking at Paul Double, my man, doublé.
I mean, it looks good for him. I think it's a great race to send him to. To me, the sprint field is the shock. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
You don't think it's going to be a Tour de France level GC field. I think the fact that you have Jan Christian against Dublé, against Bettiol, against Hennock, and Bjorn Kurt could go well. Voisard's good. It's a decent enough. I mean, Seb Berwick, let's go. Jan Castellon, Zerai. The GC field to me is unsurprising. It's decent, but the sprint field I usually would expect to be a touch better. Like I would expect. I know there's Moschetti here who won a couple of stages last year.
I would agree with you that the sprint field looks better usually, but I think if Merlier's at the start line together with Milan, it looks exactly the same as CF other years. Because like it's never been a deep field. It's just always had some top sprinters present. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I was just really excited for the Milan-Merlier mega battle. Not getting that's very disappointing, but I guess, yeah, the Moschetti-Milan Bauhaus will have to suffice.
Jacobsen, Gaviria, is this 2021? 2019?
Yeah, 2019. I do think Quickstep, I'm not sure who they're sprinting with. I guess Lawrence Rex.
Ooh.
They should have got Dainese. Like, I would have shipped Dainese straight from TDU. I would have had him not finish the Sterling, start the Sterling stage.
Why was he there?
And just, well, that's what I mean. Like, this is his sprints. Like, there's 3 sprints here where with that lead out, they got a good lead out there. Van Geleva, Rex, it's a good lead out. Oh, actually, I have my GC pick for the winner, Benji.
Okay.
Garofoli. Yeah.
I mean, solid pick. I like it. He was good last year. Both at the Giro and at Worlds. Yeah. Am I inventing that?
Europeans.
Close enough. Okay, yeah. Don't make that a political statement. I don't mean the Worlds equals Europeans.
I don't know what the I zoned out. I was having like I started daydreaming about Paul Double getting caught on the Skyviews Plateau by Garofoli and Jan Christen, and then I started daydreaming. So that's what I think will happen. So I'm looking forward to this race. I'll be covering obviously with daily highlight videos. We have Surf Coast Classic in the middle of the week. There is fire danger at the moment in Victoria, so in the Otways region. So maybe there's a contingency route apparently. But that's normally a sprint in Torquay for both the men and women. Hopefully it can go ahead without accident or incident. And then Cadel's is on the weekend, which is the classic route of reps of the Chalambra Crescent, which is 1,300 meters, 8%. And then it's about 9Ks to the finish. It's been won by Viviani in the past when very strong, experienced Quickstep team controlled. It was won by Pithy before. And last year it was won by Schmidt. Schmidt attacked, Bora couldn't bring him back, and a Gate podiumed, I think.
Wait, because UAE Team Emirates is not going to ship new riders to Australia, so are they just riding with 4 riders then?
I think so, yeah.
Because there's so many injuries from the Tour Down Under, and
because UAE didn't normally do this race, and I mean, if they had their full complement, my pick was Narvaez, but he's out. Like he with the Vine Narvaez 1-2 combo, they would have been pretty difficult to beat. And Brennan will probably go off the favorite, I would say. Lund Andresen's climbing pretty well. Sam Watson, can he get over that kicker for Ineos?
Ooh, I'm feeling Bora vibes. I don't know why. Either whether it's Piffy, whether it's Fisher Black doing something, I'm feeling something Bora. But also, I think that Brady Gilmore being in the shadow of his teammates at Tour Down Under makes him underrated. Because even on Willinga and Sterling, he got 4th and 4th, and I think Willinga, that was in service of Ethan Vernon. I think Gilmore can win or compete for Cadel's Great Ocean Road Race. Am I overestimating his ability to survive hills?
No. Gilmore, no, you're not. He is very, he gets over hills. So that Sterling stage was hard, and he launched from the back. I mean, if he got a lead out, he might have won that stage. He came from Narnia. So Gilmore should top 10 absolute minimum, I would say. Simon Clark was actually pretty strong on that Sterling circuit. I think this is his last pro race. I think he retired straight after this. So
really,
NSN, yeah, I think NSN will actually be pretty relevant in this. Lewis Bauer, a Kiwi's won this recently. A Gate was good last year. I think Lewis Bauer looks pretty sharp. See how strong he is in surviving the climbs.
I'm feeling a bit too punchy for Bauer, but I will pick Gilmore as my pick.
You're going with Gilmore. I'm going Harry Sweeney, winning Schmidt style, attacking on the descent.
I like it. I like it a lot. But obviously there's other races as well. In the next week, we've got multiple Mallorca challenges. Lots of people starting this season, whether it's Remco Evenepoel and I think Lipovic as well at the Mallorca challenges, because there's a TTT there. So they're riding the team time trial. And like, for the people that don't know, I think back in the day, that might have been like a stage race, but now it's like individual stages, individual one-day races following each other up. And teams send a roster of like 10 riders or something where they can switch between the riders between the races. So it's quite an intriguing concept, but I must confess I have not looked at the start list of like Tramontana and so forth, so I don't know whether we'll see which riders, because we also don't know, you know? Like, we know which 10 to 14 riders each team has settled, but we don't know which ones are going to ride which specific races, you know?
Exactly, and they rotate them depending on how they feel that day or what they want to do. But I do like some of those Mallorcan races. You can see some interesting things, some early performance sometimes. Just for completeness, the Cadel Evans is 160 Ks. It has the same, they just do 2 reps of the Chalumbra Geelong circuit. The heavy favourite is last year's winner, Ali Wollaston, and frankly, I can't see anyone beating her unless
she was really strong
UAE
on even the...
Yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
Unless UAE go absolutely ham on the climb and Sarah Van Dam goes with them with some other punchers, but then the chance of not cooperating is high, so I see Wollaston.
I think it's very possible. We also saw a strong sprint by Mega Coles Lister in that Tour Down Under one-day race. I'm sorry, but how confusing can you make it? There's a Santos Tour Down Under, and there's also a Santos Tour Down Under one-day race for the women. Call it something different, guys. Like, imagine if there was a Tour de France one-day race 2 days after the Tour de France.
Well, they had that. It was called La Course by the Tour.
That wasn't called the Tour de France.
It was kind of like it was branded like that. It was also, that was also confusing. But yeah, Cadel Evans, we've got the racing kicking off, and then it just doesn't stop. I think other route reaction. We discussed the Tirreno route. There's not been much other news though.
Good.
From what I can see, any other transfers, any random people unhappy?
Well, I saw like Benoit quotes about people shouldn't ride with Pogacar and Van der Poel, and then I thought,
who's that targeted at?
I'm sorry, but that should have been like straight into the inbox of Mess Pedersen before next couple season.
I saw an interview with him where they were like, what do you say to people who... The best one is when you rile up an athlete with... you say, you quote people as, you know, they are saying, it's like, who said this? But people are saying that you're not as good as Van der Poel and Pogacar, and he was like, they should shut the fuck up and work as hard as me. But actually, when you read the full quote, he said, you know, he's like, what do you want me to do? Just stop trying? Yeah.
I think he's right in that answer.
What do you want of course he's right. Of course he's like, what do you want him to do? Just stop trying. Should he pull, you know, full gas more than they do in a group of 3? Probably not. But in terms of like, he has to believe he can beat them.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I think he can win Roubaix. I've said it since the 1920s. I wasn't even born yet. He wasn't even born yet. That he would have won the Colbrelli edition. I will stand on my grave. I don't know if that's an expression, but now it is. I will die on this hill. He would have won the Colbrelli edition if Rowe didn't crash him on Truide Ironberg. That is what's going to be like the subtitle on my grave when I die in probably 20 years from a heart attack after seeing George Van Aert win the Tour of Flanders.
George Van Aert ain't winning the Tour of Flanders.
Do you think he'll go to the Visma Def team or the UAE Def team? That's going to be controversial.
I don't see Van der Poel having kids.
Having kids?
So
too busy golfing.
Yeah, dude. That's where I was going. I was trying to work in a golf bit. That would be epic, though. Yeah, imagine Van der Poel, Pogacar, and Van Aert's kids. It's like the Harry Potter scene when Malfoy, Harry, and co will drop their kids off at the Hogwarts Express.
Mate, no promo. Like, to be clear, not the biggest fan of Audible because they rejected. I was trying to get a personal partnership with Audible and they rejected it. So unhappy about that. But the new Harry Potter audiobooks with the dude from House playing Dumbledore are the best audiobooks I've heard in a while. Together with Project Hail Mary, but that's the difference. If you've never listened to Project Hail Mary, do it before the movie comes out in March.
Wait, they did a new Harry Potter. And the dude is Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, I know. Great actor, by the way. Did you know he's British?
Did I know Hugh Laurie was British? No, I hadn't crossed my mind. But wait, they've done a new one, not a Stephen Fry one.
No, and I'm sorry. Hot take: Stephen Fry washed. This is so much better.
You're a wizard, Harry.
No, it's like an audiobook with like a full cast, you know?
Yeah, I know.
It's like I'm watching a movie in my head as I'm falling asleep slowly as we enter the Chamber of Secrets. That kind of stuff.
What's the other thing you said? I said media you're consuming?
Project Hail Mary audiobook. You must listen to it before the movie comes out in March. Because it's right now the best book I've listened to ever. I've listened to like 10, so it's not like it's a long list, but it's really good.
I thought that was going to be about NFL throwing a touchdown in the last moment, but it's not. So
you do realize that a Hail Mary is a general expression in English and not just related to the NFL, right? Throwing a Hail Mary is not just NFL.
The origins of the word Hail Mary is from when you're down and you throw the ball on fourth down the field. That is the origin of the word Hail Mary. I don't think it has a religious connotation. Of course, what do you mean? It's a prayer, dude.
How am I supposed to know? I do them in Dutch as a kid because
who do you think is Mary?
Maria. That's a Dutch translation, to be clear.
Maria.
Yeah?
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess Maria Borstraat.
Who the Maria Borstraat?
Yeah.
That's a cobble center. I'm sorry. This podcast has to end. This man's going insane.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thanks for listening as always.
Wait. There is, I'm telling you, that it's definitely called after her. Yeah, it is. Not a surprise, actually. The Maria from Maria Borstraat comes from Maria, from Hail Mary, from religious history.
I would think so. Unless
in my head, this was more of an explosive thought than it was in reality. Unless
Flanders is naming streets after American football colloquialisms, I would think so. Alrighty. Hopefully there's some more news next week, but we'll see you with a week show probably next Tuesday, where my environment may have changed. So thanks for persevering with us through the off season. the whole setup. We're doing a 50-degree difference.
Same here, because they're installing FiberNet in 7 days here. So we'll be in heaven.
I'm moving towards where the internet is good.
What do you mean moving towards? If you're halfway towards it, you might not be in good internet. You might be in the ocean.
Nah. All right. Thanks for listening as always. We'll see you next week. Ciao, 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 ciao.